The economic progress of the United States is one of the most remarkable stories in world history. From a collection of 13 colonies along the Atlantic coast to becoming the world's largest economy, the United States has undergone dramatic transformations over more than 2 centuries. In the late 18th century, following independence from Britain in 1776, the American economy was primarily agricultural. Most citizens were farmers who depended on crops such as tobacco, cotton, and wheat for their livelihoods. The young nation benefited from abundant natural resources, fertile land, and an entrepreneurial spirit among its people. The establishment of a stable government under the Constitution in 1789 helped create favorable conditions for economic growth. Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury, promoted policies that encouraged industrial development, a national banking system, and federal support for infrastructure. During the early 19th century, improvements in transportation, including canals, roads, and steamboats, connected distant regions of the country and expanded domestic trade. The completion of the Erie Canal in 1825 significantly reduced transportation costs and stimulated commerce between the eastern seaboard and the expanding western territories. These developments laid the foundation for America's future economic expansion.
The Industrial Revolution transformed the United States during the 19th century. Beginning in the early 1800s and accelerating after the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, industrialization shifted the nation's economy from agriculture toward manufacturing. Railroads became the backbone of economic growth, linking markets across the continent and facilitating the movement of raw materials and finished goods. The completion of the first transcontinental railroad in 1869 symbolized America's emergence as an industrial power. Innovations by inventors such as Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell revolutionized communication and production. Large corporations emerged in industries such as steel, oil, and finance, led by influential business figures including Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller. Mass immigration from Europe provided a vast labor force that fueled factory growth and urbanization. By the end of the 19th century, the United States had surpassed many European nations in industrial output, becoming one of the world's leading economic powers. However, this rapid growth also created challenges, including poor working conditions, income inequality, and the rise of monopolies, prompting calls for government regulation and labor reforms. The early 20th century brought both prosperity and crisis. During the 1920s, often called the Roaring Twenties, technological advancements and consumer culture stimulated economic expansion. The widespread use of automobiles, electrical appliances, and mass production techniques transformed American society. Henry Ford revolutionized manufacturing through the assembly line, making automobiles affordable for ordinary Americans and increasing productivity across industries. However, excessive speculation in financial markets and weaknesses in the banking system contributed to the stock market crash of 1929, triggering the Great Depression. Unemployment soared, businesses failed, and millions of Americans experienced severe hardship. In response, President Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced the New Deal, a series of government programs designed to provide relief, recovery, and reform. Public works projects created jobs, banking regulations restored confidence in the financial system, and social safety net programs, such as Social Security, were established. Although full recovery remained incomplete until the onset of World War II, these reforms significantly reshaped the relationship between the federal government and the economy. The period following World War II marked an era of extraordinary economic prosperity for the United States. As much of Europe and Asia rebuilt from wartime devastation, American industries emerged stronger than ever. Manufacturing output expanded rapidly, producing automobiles, household appliances, and consumer goods for growing domestic and international markets. Government investments in education, infrastructure, and scientific research contributed to sustained growth. The GI Bill provided educational opportunities for returning veterans, helping create a skilled workforce and expanding the middle class. Suburban development increased demand for housing and consumer products, while interstate highways improved transportation and commerce across the nation. During the Cold War, competition with the Soviet Union encouraged technological innovation and investment in aerospace and defense industries. The space race stimulated advancements in computing, engineering, and telecommunications. By the 1960s, the United States had established itself as the world's dominant economic power, characterized by rising living standards, increased productivity, and expanding consumer wealth. Nevertheless, social inequalities and regional economic disparities persisted despite overall prosperity. From the 1970s onward, the American economy underwent significant structural changes. Challenges such as oil crises, inflation, and increased international competition forced industries to adapt. Traditional manufacturing sectors faced decline as companies relocated production overseas in search of lower labor costs. At the same time, the service sector expanded dramatically, including finance, healthcare, education, and technology. Economic policies emphasizing deregulation, tax reforms, and free market principles gained prominence during the administration of President Ronald Reagan. Globalization integrated the United States more deeply into international trade networks, creating opportunities for multinational corporations while contributing to job displacement in some communities. The rise of computers and information technology transformed productivity and business operations. Companies such as Apple.com, Microsoft.com, and Intel.com became leaders of a new digital economy. The economic expansion of the 1990s, driven largely by technological innovation and the Internet revolution, reinforced America's leadership in global markets. However, economic inequality widened, and concerns emerged regarding wage stagnation and the changing nature of employment in an increasingly automated economy. The 21st century, the United States has continued to demonstrate resilience and adaptability despite facing major economic challenges. The 2008 global financial crisis, triggered by problems in the housing market and financial sector, resulted in severe recession and widespread job losses. Government interventions, including stimulus measures and financial reforms, helped stabilize the economy and support recovery. Technological innovation has remained a key driver of growth, with advancements in artificial intelligence, biotechnology, renewable energy, and digital services reshaping industries. Companies such as Google.com, Amazon.com, and Tesla.com